I'm Jacqueline Lovelock, and I'm one of the hosts of Crafty So and So's Facebook page with three other girls. This file is available for sale on my website, which is lovelockdesigns.co.uk, part of a travel series I'm making to sew away from home. I hope you enjoy making it. For this project, we're going to need some fabric, not very much. This fabric is Bumbleberries by Lewis and Irene, which I have already put some medium weight interfacing on the back of these pieces. We're going to need a little bit of felt or wool, and these are bits of cardboard I've cut from a layer cake. They're nice stiff cardboard, but you could use cornflake packets, that sort of thing, for it as well, and anything you wish to embellish the front of it with. Plus I will include the SVG file for the sewing machine, which I've cut out of a pre-Bond and Light piece of fabric, and also there will be a reverse picture of the sewing machine, so that if you want to trace it with your Bond and Light, you can do, and do it the old-fashioned way on a light box. So any embellishment you want to do, you need to do now before we go any further, because afterwards you won't be able to do it. So that's that part done. Yeah, with my nice shiny silver on there, a little bit of embellishment, and that's the front of it done at the moment. So now we're going to move on to these inside pieces, which again are, I must remind you, have got interfacing on. And what we need to do now is to draw, so that, you know, because these have to be fairly accurate, so I would suggest that you do draw your 1/4 inch line, sewing line, that they're going to be, so that you know. Actually, it's probably better that you do it on the back, so you know where they're going to be, because it is kind of important on the sides at least. We want everything to fit. Okay, there's that done. Now, this is going to help us to, let me just, yeah. So yeah, okay, so first off we need to do is to turn under, which will get rid of our line, but we need to iron under that 1/4 inch. So of course that line is going to help you now to be able to absolutely iron under that 1/4 inch on the two sides that are going to be facing each other. Okay. So I'm going to go off and iron that, and then I can come back to you. So having ironed under those 1/4 inch seams that are going to face each other, now we need to sew on the felt. Now remembering that we've got 1/4 inch seams all the way around this project. The lower edge of the felt, I'm going to take my pinking shears and just give it a nice edge. Okay, then now this is the middle of the book, so we want this to sit roughly, remember in our 1/4 inch seam, we want it to sit roughly there, and I can put a pin in that now to hold it. So it's roughly, let me just measure that for you, roughly an inch away I would say from the outside edge. Again, I'll do that. Just check it, yep. And pop a pin in there as well. Excuse me. Grabbing my pins. And now we want to attach this to those pieces. And I'm going to use one of my fancy stitches on my machine. So having sewed those parts on there now, and I did like a herringbone stitch with the two folded under pieces together like this, you need to take into account that you do have a 1/4 inch seam. So a piece of Velcro, but I've cut a bit of just about an inch of Velcro, and I'm going to cut that down because that's not going to quite fit into our, I don't want it to be caught in our seam. So I'm just going to cut that down. Okay, and the same with this one, the other side of it. Just going to cut that down so it's slim enough to fit and leave our 1/4 inch seam alone. And halfway down, so if you want to, you can turn it over and then make a mark in your seam allowance. Turn it over, make a mark in your seam allowance so you know where it's going, and then we need to stitch the Velcro onto the fabric away from that 1/4 inch edge. So again, if you're unsure of your edges, then please do, because obviously this iron's out, please do put your sewing line back in so that you can see your seam allowance, 1/4 inch seam allowance. Alright, so now, as I said, the one piece can go there and the other piece can go there, and we need to just stitch around that to hold it to the project. So that's our piece of Velcro sewn on. Do draw your 1/4 inch seams if you're at all sort of you know, a bit phased by them. So now what we need to do, back to front so that we can turn it out, yeah, we need to sew with the turned in edge towards the centre, so we can use clips to clip that together, and then the other side so then we can go and sew, making sure it's all the right way up. We can go and sew, and those are butting together very nicely in the centre. Okay, we can go and sew now our 1/4 inch all around the exterior. So having sewed all around the outside and trimmed our corners, now we need, using this gap, to turn the whole project the right way out. So there's our gorgeous book made. The last thing is what we wanted here, the stiffness of the cardboard. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slightly round, just slightly round those edges so that they don't cause a problem, and fit that then. Hope we got that the right way round. Yeah, into the front, and the same thing with this. Just going to just round those corners so they're not going to stick into my stitching. And again, that way round. Plop those in there to give us our book. Okay, so now our book is more solid. Yes. And the other thing we need to do to close this gap now, I don't want to sew it because I don't want to line the sewing, although you could do a zigzag stitch across there and sew it if you wanted to, or if not, then use some steamer seam or some web interlining like this one. Cut enough of what you need, roughly about there. Okay, and then I'll go to the iron, and inside here I'll iron that in where I need it, rip the tape off and shut that down. I'll come back to you. So there's our needle bookcase, and inside this is nicely held down. Plop our pins, needles, whatever we need to take with us, and it's nice and firm because we've used that card, and it's ready to go. So that's number one out of a little series I'm going to do for taking sewing stuff on the move.